Just making sure all the doctors have gone. Okay, so the plan was, wanted to get better at art, painted a bunch of apples. I thought that I would see myself improve day by day. It ended up very differently. Listen, we'll go through that journey and it will be fun. It will be fun. It's not going to be a downer. It's not going to be a buzzkill. But in this video, I kind of want to talk more about the psychology of improving at art, how it feels, and how we think about it so wrong. Because it's not like your little precious little video games, okay? I'm being so combative. So join me, Scouty Appleseed, as I get worse at painting, but better at thinking about getting better at painting. But not actually getting better at painting. But not actually getting worse at painting either.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot going on visually. I'm back at it. It's been a really long time since I've picked up the oil paints, but I've been getting the urge. I found this shirt. This shirt gave me the urge. I'm currently doing a lot of pixel art fruits, and I'm doing terribly, and I feel like I need to get back to lights and darks, basics, values. Good old-fashioned values. And here you can see my setup. I have very classico style apple photo. Light hitting here because I have the windows open, and the lighting's probably going to change because there's a giant concrete wall in between me and any kind of view. I got my paint. I got my brush. I got a light blasting me in the face. So we're just kind of gonna see how it all goes. I don't know. I don't remember how to do this. Dark to light, thick to thin. Wish me luck. I'm gonna put on a video.
Apple number 1. I was really excited about painting on this day. I am a slave to line work. So I started by sketching out the composition and then tentatively adding in the colors as I went. I should say I'm using a very special and quirky form of oil paint, which, unlike regular oil paint, is water soluble through some kind of dark corrupting magics that I don't understand. But it means that I didn't have to use turpentine in order to like dilute the paint, because turpentine is highly toxic and releases fumes that would probably burn my house down and kill me. So it's quite convenient just to be able to use water instead. Basically, this was like a 5-day boot camp that I wanted to do in order to improve specifically values, my lights and darks. I'm really bad at that. And this has become increasingly obvious to me as I work on pixel art, which is kind of at the moment my main medium. I often work on short pixel art projects like desktop wallpapers and Twitch overlays on live streams.
Fuck. 5 hours, Happy New Year. Yummy, 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 yummy. Why would I do that? Why would I do that?
So if you want to subscribe, be careful because you might get notifications for all of the times that I live stream, and that might be kind of annoying. So maybe don't subscribe. I'm not supposed to say that. But you might be thinking, if you want to get better at pixel art, shouldn't you just be doing pixel art? Why is oil paint involved right now? If you have a regular brain, maybe that's true. But I personally have brainworms. Undiagnosed, don't know what they are. But if I don't feed them novelty every few weeks, they will eat my prefrontal cortex, and I need that. But also, I am a huge believer in transferable skills, especially like within art. The way that oil paints work, if you put a bunch of like white paint down and then try to put black paint over the top of it, it's crazy. It just like doesn't, I don't know where it goes, but it doesn't like stay, it just doesn't. So you have to go from dark to light, which means you have to think about the shadows and the lights. But honestly, this is why I don't like to think of art as just like a single skill. You know, we're talking about video games. It's not just like sneak or speechcraft. It is an umbrella term for a whole host of skills, such as color theory, values, composition, technique with different mediums. You know, oil paint is very different to watercolor, which again is very different to pixel art. There's understanding different subject matter, trying to get your theme or your ideas across, communicating via the art. There is so much anatomy, human anatomy, animal anatomy, anemone anatomy. Those are just some of the different pathways that you need to branch off of and struggle down in order to actually improve at art. And taking a little detour, going like a weird way around, you know, maybe it doesn't work for everyone, but that's the way I like to travel down the journey of art. And this apple experiment is a really great way for me to do that. You know, I, as a teenager, was really into watercolors, where you go light to dark, and you glaze over and you layer over. It's a kind of a totally different form of art. You know, even though there's transferable skills and there's kind of opposite skills, I don't know, I just feel like that's good for you. It's kind of like cardio and weightlifting. Working with oil paints is teaching me to look at this picture of an apple and really hone in on and identify where are the darkest darks, where are the midtones, where are the lightest lights, and how much can I get away with simplifying this shape. I showed my dad this and he said that was his favorite, so it's all downhill from here.
I actually kind of fuck with this apple. I think it looks good. Especially when it's far away and on an angle, so you can't really see it that well. This guy, oh my god, there's a lot going on. Listen, I've got a lot of tripods just out of view, alright? This guy mostly exists because I wanted to use up the paint on the palette. I dyed my hair these colors for April Fool's Day, you know, clown themed, but I kind of hate it, so I just pranked myself. One of the fundamental pieces of advice I always see about, I think I'm starting to feel lightheaded, I should probably crack a window, is that you're supposed to go from, don't worry about this, I'm gonna open it. Just got back for work and got changed into my painting gear. Today's artist is Thomas Kincaid, the psychopath himself. Today's apple, today's muse. I'm really nervous today because I feel like yesterday's apple came out really good. And unfortunately, that means that there's more pressure for today's apple to come out good as well. But I absolutely have to only use half an hour today because I have to go to yakiniku soon. Here's today's colors. We're using my hair. Ignore those two. We're doing those three. And I watched a paint coach video. He was doing like 10-minute studies and he was using thinned out paint. Paint with a lot of medium or tubs. I don't know. What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? And then get in something on the background. Would you like to see what I'm doing? That's too bad for you. Just kidding, I'll show you.
For this second apple, it kind of looks like this one actually. But for the second apple, I used very oily paint. I diluted it with a lot of paint medium, so it means that the pigment spreads further and you can kind of slough it on. I did end up getting a bit more stuck into the detail and the little nitty-gritty of it, which was not the point of this challenge. We've already derailed. You know, I was a little surprised when I looked back on this footage how often and how quickly I start talking about pressure. Like, I immediately put all of this pressure on myself to improve day by day. Like, immediately. And it's like, first of all, this is something I chose to do. This is homework I gave myself, essentially. So why am I feeling stressed about it? Well, partly came from the camera, of course. It's your fault. So thanks a lot for that. Should have thought about that before you clicked on this video. Knowing that people will perceive my art, I did feel a lot of pressure on having a clear sense of improvement. And again, it's this idea that if you just do, you know, as if they're like slimes. Like they're slimes. Like if I just kill 5 slimes, I'll get 15 XP each, and then I'll be able to unlock the Paint Apple's Good skill perk tree. It's just like not how that works at all. If you'll indulge me, I'd like to pivot. We're going to take a little side passage, but don't worry, we will get back to the main pathway in a second, but I think this will just be like a fun tangent that will give us more knowledge as we continue forwards. Malcolm Gladwell, one of my many famous and unrequited nemeses, is the author of the book Outliers, and within that book, he lays out the theory of the 10,000 hour rule. A lot of people interpret this rule as you have to do 10,000 hours of something and then you'll be really good at it. There's a few problems with this, Malcolm. Firstly, a keyword that people often miss is you need 10,000 hours of good practice. And what does good practice look like? Well, it's not just doing something, it's evaluating, self-evaluating, getting feedback from other people who are good at it, and then reiterating on that feedback. It's having an understanding of like the context within which you're working, and the practice itself needs to be focused and mindful. Secondly, I kind of hate the concept of gaining mastery of art. Obviously, when you look at someone's work, you can tell when they're like an incredible craftsperson, when they're really fucking good at what they do. But there's just something about like, I'm trying to attain mastery that this is nitpicky. Okay, I'll admit it's nitpicky, but it's like an endless journey. And I think trying to focus on the end goal, trying to focus on like the final, I have surpassed ability and now I'm a master, I feel like you're setting yourself up to be constantly disappointed in yourself. And if all you're thinking about is this long-term outcome, which, by the way, once you hit that point, you will still think you haven't hit that point. Like, even masters think that they have a lot to improve, is my point. If you spend all your time not enjoying the process, but wishing you were further along in the journey, you're just gonna have a shit journey. And all there is the journey. How many more times can I say the fucking word journey? Journey to the mysterious island. If all you're doing is worrying about drawing the perfect apple, you're not gonna enjoy the process of painting the apple. And it goes for the long haul too. If every day you're like, fuck, I just spat apple. Don't worry about it. If every day, I should say, Malcolm Gladwell is not actually one of my nemeses. I do have nemeses though. Now, I only skimmed Gladwell's book, specifically the chapter where he talks about the 10,000 hour rule. So I believe what I'm about to say next, but I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments below if I've made a mistake. But I'm pretty sure the 10,000 hour rule is a way of explaining people who are the most successful person in their field. It's a way of explaining opportunities. The 10,000 hour rule is not you have to do something for 10,000 hours and then you will become a master. The 10,000 hour rule is if you're a kid and you love basketball and you go to basketball camp when you're younger and your parents take you to the courts all the time and you get to practice with coaches and you go after school every single day and you spend your childhood up until you're 20 years old practicing for about 10,000 hours, you have a way higher opportunity to be successful than a kid who had to work part-time, was busy with other stuff, had to do extracurricular, different activities. It's talking about the more you practice in your developmental years, the more likely you are to be wildly successful. It is one of the many forms of luck, of privilege, of opportunity that people have that propels them into those very highest echelons. He's talking about someone like outliers, Spiders George. Spiders George has the opportunity to eat more spiders than everyone else. What am I talking about? What I'm trying to say is that it's not about just head down, nose to the grindstone, 10,000 hours, I got apple burps, 10,000 hours will make me good. You need more than that as an artist. You need input. You need taste. I guess I have 2 points. The first is that there's no level cap. You don't just reach mastery and then you're done and you can draw everything and everything is easy for you. The second is that time alone does not guarantee the quality of the work. In fact, the better you get at art, the more you can see your own flaws and self-evaluate and notice those kind of odd anatomical mishaps. That's not what an ankle looks like. And you can tell that that color choice isn't particularly great, because the higher your skill is, the higher your taste becomes. And the higher your taste becomes, the higher you can push your technical skill. It's kind of like the goalposts shift, but in a good way. We'll talk about this in a minute, but what I'm referring to is the Ira Glass gap.
Apple number 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Also lives. We have a nutrition house where we do all of our diet and enrichment prep.
Don't worry, that is non-alcoholic beer. Also, peep the triple parking. It's kind of crazy behavior. 3 drinks for 3 apples, I guess. I chose like a less conventional color palette for this one, and I don't really know how I feel about it. I hated it at the time. I've kind of warmed up to it. I mentioned the gap. It's not genes, it's the taste skill gap, which was coined by the journalist Ira Glass, who I only know about from the Black Tapes podcast, which is fictional ghost stories. It can kind of simultaneously explain 2 phenomena. The first being when you can envision a really great piece of art, you can see it in your mind's eye, but you just can't put it on paper. You just don't have the technical, mechanical skill yet. But also, on the flip side, when you feel like you're doing really good art, but no one's paying attention to it, and like you're not really getting good feedback on it, and you just can't figure out what's wrong with it. Like, what about this looks anatomically incorrect? And then a year later you look back on it because you have improved in that year and you go like, whoa, that's not how an ankle works. You know, I was talking about all those subcategories of art, but you can kind of push most of that into technical, mechanical, moving your hand skill. But the parallel path that you have to work on as well is taste, your ability to see and observe good art. And what makes that art good. Of course, that's quite subjective, but your taste should be higher than your skill. And that frustration, that struggle, is the gap. I'm going to use a different medium to illustrate my point, and this is going to feel like a tangent again. This is just a video of tangents. We're not even really talking about apples anyway, are we? So there was this romantasy writer on TikTok who marketed his book really, really well. He got like over 7,000 pre-orders on his debut novel without sharing much of his like writing at all. It was just marketing. People were excited. The world building seemed like robust and interesting. Thousands of people didn't just sign up for the pre-order. They paid for a pre-order because they thought it was going to be like this brilliant, epic fantasy. The author talked about like how much work and effort, how he's been writing it since he was 12, all this stuff, and then it came out and it was kind of terrible. That sounds harsh, but on the first page of the book, the printed paperback book, he wrote inhabitable when he should have written uninhabitable. There were so many technical errors like this. But beyond that, there was also a meandering, very confusing plot line that people struggle to follow. You know, for example, there is a map, which is important for plot reasons, that in chapter 1, the main character says her father drew it and then passed it down to her for her to complete and finish the map. And then in chapter 10 or whatever, she says her father bought it for her at a market. Stuff that should have been caught in a revision. Anyway, there was huge backlash, huge drama. YouTube channels were covering it. TikTokers were mad about it. Everyone had something to say about it. And one thing that the author said when he got all of this feedback, he said, I've spent 10,000 hours working on this story. 3 hours a day for years, writing and writing and rewriting. According to Malcolm Gladwell, I have attained mastery. I am a professional. I have 10 years of experience. And it's this use of time spent as experience, as XP, as authority, and as proof that the product is good, that I think we all fall into that trap sometimes. We all think, well, I've been drawing since I was like 5 years old. I should be good by now. But it's not like burying bones in the Lumbridge woods to get your prayer up. Art is not a second monitor activity. The work is what the work is, completely regardless, completely irrespective of the effort that you put in. It's like saying, well, I spent all this time baking a cake, surely doesn't that make it nutritional? It's like, that has nothing to do with it. Those two things are not related even a little bit. So if you spend 10,000 hours working on something, but you're not working on something with the taste level, with the observation skills, in order to see what's wrong with it, you're not actually going to improve. I'm getting sleepy, I'm getting apple. I kind of did not at all want to paint today. I'm so glad I actually put a microphone in this so I can just chill out back here. I did not want to paint today, but I ended up locking in actually. I think it helped once again, thanks to brainworms, that I actually broke every rule that I made for this challenge. I stopped having a limited color palette. I forgot to set the timer for 30 minutes. I didn't even really think about values. I was just locked in, totally focused on painting these fucking apples. I think I just wanted to really spend some time on it. And I lost the plot. It was awesome. I guess I should now reveal my hand to you finally. I didn't get worse or get better. I just spent heaps of time on this one. I just felt really good about it. The conditions were right. I was into it. And it just clicked, you know? I was undistracted. I was totally immersed. I wasn't like watching some YouTube video on the side. I was in the flow state. The flow state, for those of you who don't know, or being in the zone, I think it comes from sports psychology, but it's basically like this point of easy, unmitigated focus and attention on the task at hand. You don't have a bunch of things like whirling in the background. Your whole mind is focused on whatever task, usually a physical task, that you're doing. And the task has to be not so tough that you are frustrated, but not so easy that you're bored. So it's kind of this in-between, like, perfect Zen flow state. People talk about it a lot. I feel like you've probably heard of it. So let's continue. Being able to enter the flow state is not necessarily a guarantee, although you can, like, try your best to get there. But it's kind of one of the reasons why you don't have, like, a set skill level. You can't, like, always guarantee one specific outcome for your ability level. Of course, you will improve, but, like, your skills fluctuate. Some days are good days. Some days are not. You know, if you're a professional artist, sure, having consistency is really important. But, honestly, even the pros will have days where the ink just stutters and nothing is right. Your hand is just not doing what you want it to do and everything looks wonky. And then you have other days where just like everything's flowing, everything's looking beautiful, and you're super productive and it feels really awesome. And sometimes you can like attribute that to, I don't know, sleep or diet or some other health reason. You can contribute it to stress. You can contribute it to something. Sometimes you just don't know why. Sometimes the vibes are just crazy, you know? So what I'm saying is it swings and roundabouts, and you don't have to compare yourself. Just like you shouldn't compare yourself to other artists, you also shouldn't be comparing yourself to yourself. It's kind of rude to yourself, you know? Anyway, what do I know? Anyway, I don't have a lot else to say for today, but I do want to say thank you to all of the comments on my last video. I had a lot of fun reading them, especially the crazy ones. If you listen, I made this video about cottagecore, and a couple of people had some really wacky theories. So if you have any wacky theories about oil paints, where they come from, if you have any like coast to coast, like Discovery Channel type theories about apples, drop them in the comments. Let me read them. Please, dear God, let me read them. But sincerely though, thank you for all the comments. I really did not want to paint today, but I missed yesterday, so I've got to do 2 today. You may be able to see why I didn't want to do any painting today. Listen, let's just get this all lined up, eh? Just give me a bit of space, and we're just gonna. It's just despite the fact. Hold on, let's spin this back around. Listen, despite the fact that I'm trying. I'm wearing I'm garbed. I'm in my garb, and yet I can't. Okay, let's just. Okay, day 5, the final day. It was actually day 6 because I skipped a day, but don't talk about that. Not only did I skip a day beforehand, but then today I just completely phoned it in. It's funny, my brother has this theory that everything you like doing in video games, you should probably do it in real life, because it's like, obviously you find it fun, but you'd find it even more fulfilling IRL. Now, this does not mean, if If you like playing COD, you should go shoot people. What it means is that, it's a clue as to the kind of life that you sincerely want to live as much as possible. Like, if you're playing COD, it's not the act of actually, like, killing people that you enjoy. It's like the speed, it's like the fast-paced intensity, it's like getting into this like tight situation and getting yourself out of it. It's the competence that comes with that. It's like the competition of that, so how can you like do more of that in your real life? And it's not even about like replacing video games with real life. It's just like, how can you bring more of that into your life? It's just like a nice thought experiment. For me, for example, like exploring and leveling up in Skyrim and like being kind of almost self-sufficient, but like just like totally unbeholden to anything and being able to choose your own path. That's what's really exciting to me in Skyrim. I love the idea of being able to just grab a bunch of cheese wheels and just start walking. And hey, who knows, maybe that's in my future. It's quite, what's the word, humbling to have your work sort of standing against itself. That was 2 days ago. What happened? Apple number 2. 10 minutes on the board. Can we make a draw look good? In terms of Stardew Valley, I kind of feel like it's productivity. It's the idea that I have spent my whole day that I've used every minute that I've got, because that's something I do not often do. Because I'm playing Stardew Valley instead, I mean, if in real life you just had a table that gave you a bunch of free furniture, like, wouldn't you spend all of your days redecorating? How am I supposed to live the life I want to live in video games when I don't know where I can go to fucking give some fisherman purple bars so that he takes me to a tropical island that I can just roam around in, and there's no bugs on the tropical island? Where am I gonna find a tropical island without bugs, huh? Get real. So I did the elastic habits / atomic habits thing and just set a 5-minute timer, and I was like, listen, I'm just gonna draw something bad, and I'm gonna give myself the permission for it to be bad because I want to get back to Ginger Island. Thank you very much. And I did that, and for no reason other than the fact that I wanted to be able to say that I had finished my painting. And it worked, and I did it, and I finished the challenge, and I was then sick of oil painting, and I haven't touched it since. Okay, I cannot be bothered moving my thing, but this one's cracking me up, so I'm gonna do this one. It's just in the center, massive vignette, and it's shadows. And it's light and it's dark, and it's shadows and it's light and it's dark, so. It's hard to be drawing at the height of your powers every day. There might be something distracting you and pulling you away from it. And again, back to that, like, pressure that I put on myself, it's kind of all good. This was homework I gave myself. This was not, like, work that was commissioned. I think it's okay to give yourself permission to not be... I think it's okay to not beat your personal best every time you pick up a pen. It's okay to only work on art for 5 minutes a day instead of 2 hours a day. It's okay to play Stardew Valley for 12 hours straight. After this challenge, I downloaded PicoCAD 2 and I started mucking around with 3D art for a while, and it really didn't click for me, but I had like this urge to try it, so I tried it and it was fun, but it didn't really click. And now I'm back to pixel art. In conclusion, I don't really know. I hope this was useful to someone. I hope that this gave you a new way of thinking about art. Please let me know if you learned something new. Please let me know if I got anything wrong about my intensive research on my nemesis Malcolm Gladwell. I personally am not sure that this is going to make a good video, but I'm going to push through and make the video anyway, and then evaluate it and see how I went. Wow. Isn't that beautiful? I do want to give you one piece of sincere advice though. A lot of people say, focus on one thing. Niche down. just focus on one thing. Stop letting yourself get distracted by different projects. Stop letting yourself pick up and put down random projects. I personally think that it's good to have one main project. Like for me, that's my YouTube videos. That's my main project. But I have built into that changing projects all the time, doing different things. Because for some people, don't change your focus is good advice. But for a lot of people, it's really harmful advice that makes you hate what you're doing. And especially if you are young, if you are new to art, if you're just exploring what you like, you should be trying new stuff all the time. You should be getting your hands on every single medium you can get your hands on. You should not be worrying about niching down or finding your focus. You should be experimenting. You know, all of this like prodigy shit, you know, the fucking best of the best. Tiger Woods didn't start playing golf until he was like late into his teens. He was doing a bunch of different sports. Because everything you learn comes back to help you on the next thing. You can get better at learning by learning different things. So it's not that you're wasting time messing with watercolors when you're 14, even though you actually don't want to be a watercolorist. That is helping you understand light, understand color theory, understand how mixing color works, understand like water and paint on the page, brushwork, like the mechanical skill. It's helping you so much for whatever else you want to do. And you don't even feel or see how those things influence you later on in life. It's the butterfly effect, you know? And so yeah, I don't pick up my oil paints that often, but when I do, I'm making progress. Even though it might feel like I'm taking a detour or I feel like I'm distracting myself, I find, and again, I've got brain worms specifically. I have a sore throat, so I'm not going to put you through my RFK impression, but I need you to know it's really good. But the brain worms tell me to switch projects constantly. And I used to have so much guilt around that. Seriously, I used to have so much guilt around that. But that guilt isn't helping, and I'm not going to focus. Listen, I tried to do comics for a while. I just cannot focus on one story for long enough to be a comic artist. I just know that's not in the cards for me. It was fun to do for a while, but I just know that that is not my path. And experimenting, evaluating, and figuring that out about myself was what allowed me to make that realization, and make that realization without like feeling guilty about it. You know what I mean? Is that even the point of this video? What is... I don't even know anymore. What?